Hi, I am Erika Botha. I am a fearless woman coach and I like to interview other women that is fearless. And today I have Jenny with me. Jenny, welcome. Tell us
Thank
your
you.
story.
Okay, well, my name is Jenny Gattinger, and I'm originally from Monroe, Michigan. And I would say that my story begins after college, right after college. You see, I went to school about 40 minutes away from home, and right after school, I moved back home for a job, the perfect job that was set up for me by a family friend. And so you'd think everything would be perfect. Granted, I was more than thankful for the opportunity. But I have to say, at the same time, after having been away at college and meeting all these people from around the world, making international friends from every country, I found myself back at home just dreaming about traveling and seeing more of the world. And so I remember one day at dinner, I kind of mentioned the idea of going to Spain to my parents, and they were like, "Oh no, there's no way you would quit your job and go to Spain." And I was like, "All right." Well, I kept going to work and I kept getting the feeling that I just wanted to get out of the hometown and go see more of the world. So I booked my flight, and fast forward maybe about 2 more weeks, we were sitting at dinner. I'm like, "Oh, by the way, I booked a flight to Spain." And so, I mean, obviously my parents wanted to kill me. They couldn't believe it. And so I had my initial flight to Spain for what was supposed to be 3 months. So those 3 months came, those 3 months went. I had a temporary job in Spain at the time. I had a boyfriend in Spain as well, so I was visiting him. I barely spoke Spanish, though I did take it in high school, but I was like, I'll try to practice my Spanish. That's pretty much non-existent. And so that was basically my plan. And luckily, as I was at the airport, I got an email from one of the little positions I was looking for to teach English. And they were like, "Oh, yeah, we'll interview you in 2 days when you arrive." So I'm like, "Okay, perfect." So I landed in Spain, got an interview for a temporary job as an English teacher. And I ended up staying there 3 months. I came back to the US as my original plan. And I had another job lined up. I wasn't feeling it. And so I was like, "Now what should I do?" I was like, "You know what? In those first 3 months in Spain, I met all these English teachers that were trying to convince me to come back, how great life was in Spain as an English teacher. I had made some friends at that point. And I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going back for another year." And so I went back on my own for another year. And of course, that year turned into another year, which turned into another year. And towards the end, about 8 years later, or no, 7 years
No,
later,
no.
7 years later, I, I was thinking about coming back to the US, but during those years, I actually learned Spanish. Um, I was studying a bit on my own, but mainly I learned through friends, through colleagues. And so I learned Spanish. And then I was like, wait. Before going back to the US, I need to get some sort of certification to be able to use the Spanish I learned. And so I applied for different master's programs in Spain. And one of the programs was a master's in Spanish and English as second languages. And so I was accepted to the program. Um, and I chose the Spanish concentration. I wanted to push myself. I said, you know what? 7 years ago, I arrived to this country. I didn't even speak the language. And here I am applying for a master's program in the Spanish concentration. It was technically Spanish and English as second languages, but I chose to do the Spanish concentration. So all of my classes were in Spanish, or the grand majority were. And then I had the opportunity to also present my master's thesis in Spanish. And they said, well, you can do it in Spanish or in English. I said, no, let's do it in Spanish. Let's go all the way. And so I did that. I got my master's degree in Spain, in my second language as well. And then after that, I had another move. I went to Hamburg for 6 months, actually, which, funny enough, I have a German passport as well. And so that gave me an opportunity to get to know another culture.
Wow.
Then from Hamburg, I still had in mind that I was eventually going to go to the US. So I started applying for jobs as a Spanish teacher. And I applied for certain jobs in Boston and Austin and Miami. And I was actually laughing. I'm like, in Miami, they're never going to choose me as a Spanish teacher of all places. They did. And so
Wow.
I made the move to Miami as a Spanish teacher.
Wow.
And that's where I've been the past 4 years. I was teaching Spanish to elementary and preschool age children in Miami, which was a completely new opportunity. I'd been there before, but I never in a million years previously I thought I would end up in Miami. And so, yeah, I ended up in Miami for 4 years. And once again, I got itchy feet after 4 years. And I said, now what? And originally I was just thinking about applying to a different school. And I started applying to different schools, and I got invited to some interviews, and it just didn't feel right. I wasn't fully convinced that I wanted to stay there. And so I was like, you know what? Heard about teaching English online. And meanwhile, in my last year working, I also took a financial coaching course. And I was like, I'm going to start financial coaching. I can teach English online, and I'm just going to go abroad. And so I started my digital nomad journey last summer. And since then, I've been teaching English online and starting to coach. I'm a financial coach for millennials. And I decided to start my journey in Tbilisi, Georgia, which to many is one of the most random places you could probably start. But it's a country I had in mind for a while. And then, funny enough, I just kept seeing it pop up on my social media. And so I was like, you know what? These are signs. And I remember the last sign was when I saw a dragon boat team practicing there, because I was also competing on a dragon boat team in Miami. And we had an upcoming competition in Paris, and I wanted to go. So I was like, you know what? That would be perfect. I will go to Georgia. I'm going to train with this team there. That's it. Done. I'm going to Tbilisi. And so I started my digital nomad journey there. And I went home for the holidays after that. And then I came back to Spain for what was supposed to be 2 months. And I got stuck here during Corona times. So here I am still. And so I've had a lot of changes, and I'm still having changes every day.
Wow. But, amazing. Jenny, so one of the things that I teach ladies to be fearless is they have to take action. Now, you took your action how many years ago when you were sitting at your parents' table and said, hey, this is not working for me. I want to do more with my life. I want to get out of here. So if you haven't done that at that stage, where would you have been? If you haven't taken action and doing this fearless thing that you're currently still doing.
I think I would probably still be in Michigan. I would probably have the house, the family, the job. Basically, my last 15 years wouldn't have happened. I mean, if you ask me 15 years ago, if I could have ever imagined the next 15 years of my life, I could have never imagined how these years would have been. I think I'd still be in the US. I probably would have traveled a bit, I'm sure, but I wouldn't have been able to visit 50 plus countries. I wouldn't have made friends all around the world. I've also competed internationally in 2 sports. I mean, that would have never happened. I wouldn't be fluent in Spanish. I wouldn't have taught Spanish. And maybe I could have easily gotten to the financial coaching as well earlier, possibly.
And it all starts by one action. And I guess your parents is so used to that now. The first time they've been shocked, and now it's like, okay, where are you going next? I guess.
Yeah. I learned to just tell them after the fact. Be like, oh, by the way, I'm going to Africa for 3 weeks. Because they would just get nervous if I told them ahead of time. So I told them after. I'm like, I already booked my flight. So by the way.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, your story is amazing. Your story show me a few things. First of all, you have to take the action, as I said. The second thing is that when you get, you get resilient. You're not afraid anymore to book the flight and just go. out of your story, I've learned the first time was the difficult time. And now it's okay, good, I'm going, I'm stuck here in Spain now, but it's okay. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
It get easier when you just take that first step and just become
I think so.
fearless.
Definitely.
So, gosh,
Definitely.
you
It
are
gets
so
easier as
fearless.
time goes.
You are
But
so.
I'm a big believer in, one of my favorite phrases is, if not now, then when. So you have to live, day by day, do what you can and follow your dreams. If at all possible, I say you have to go for it. And so
Yeah.
life's too short to think what if. I mean, you asked me, what would life be like if I hadn't made a change? I think I'd probably still be sitting there thinking, oh, what if I
What if,
ever lived abroad, And
you just did it. Yeah. The
yeah.
same time when we immigrated, I said I didn't want to think about what if I didn't do it. So yeah. Well, and now you're teaching millennials about finances and amazing. So you add another skill to your life, which is amazing. So not only
I didn't mention this, but I actually studied economics. But I got my bachelor's in economics and a minor in psychology, but then later switched my master's and then went back as I was teaching Spanish to do an additional course as a financial coach as well.
So it all comes together.
Kind of between math and language. Math and language.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, Jenny, your story is so inspiring. I love it, love it, love it. And thank you for sharing it. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share.
Oh, it's fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.